Hi, my name's Tracey and I'm going to bring this week's meditation to you. Before I read the passage that I want to share with you, I want you to think about anything time in your life when you've been really worried or anxious. What happens when we have a worry? What happens to us? I think for most of us, when we're worried about something, the worry is always at the forefront of our minds. We constantly think about it. We try to find ways of solving it. We try to think it through. The worry comes uninvited to our minds. It becomes very all-consuming, and I think the reason for that is our brains know we have a worry there. It's fight or flight, and what it's trying to do, our brains are trying to do. You've got this concern. You need to solve this. You need to think of a way out of this. You need to find a way around this. Our brains are constantly going, think about this. This hasn't been resolved, and our brains will constantly keep bringing it back. So when we have a worry, if our brains are telling us, think about it, sort it, act on it, it becomes all-consuming. And generally, when we're like that, we can't function on or think about other things beyond that main concern that we have. Not only are our brains telling us, resolve this, sort it out, also emotionally and physically, our bodies are reacting to that concern as well. So what we tend to do when we have a worry or anxiety, we become very introverted, and that worry becomes our main focus, and it becomes quite a large thing that we are trying to resolve, or we can't think of anything else except for that one problem. Jesus understood about worry. He understood that his disciples had concerns. He understands that when we do have worries, it becomes our main focus. It becomes our main driver. We internalize it and we try to want to solve it ourselves under our own steam. I'm going to read a passage in the Bible that Jesus spoke to his disciples about on worry. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens, they do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than birds? Who of you are worrying can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Consider how the wildflowers grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith? And do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it, for the pagan world runs after all such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, and treasure in heaven that will never fail, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So Jesus is doing a compare and contrast in these verses between us and God. We have a tendency to worry and have concerns about the immediate. But Jesus is saying, you don't have to worry about those things because God has got your back. He has solved it for you. He who clothes the fields and clothes the grass, and the grass is burnt tomorrow, how much more will he actually clothe and feed you, who will last a lot longer than the grass, who's a lot more precious than the grass? Jesus is saying, God cares for these things, but he cares for you much more so. And if he does those good things for the grass and the birds, how much more good will he do for you? And Jesus is diverting the disciples' focus from self-reliance to godly reliance. So when we have worries, we are relying on self. When that worry becomes really massive, we are relying on ourselves to solve it. But what Jesus is saying, you can't add an extra day to your life, so why worry? God is your main provider, and that's where your focus should be. He says, build your treasure in heaven. So we can't solve our problems necessarily just by worrying about them. But if we recognize that God is our provider, where is our heart? Where's our minds? Our minds are in God. Our faith is in God. Our faith is in the treasure of God. And God knows our concerns, and God will provide for us. Jesus says, do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. And he also says, but seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. We need to seek God's kingdom. We need to seek what God wishes for us. So when we do have times of worry, how can we practically not focus on that worry so much? We need to change our mindset and focus on what God has promised us. And that's what Jesus is saying. Don't internalize and be self-focused, be God-focused. And he knew his disciples were going to have troubling times ahead, and he knows that we will do too. And I pray this evening, whatever your worries are, whatever your concerns are, I pray and ask that you put them before God your Father, and that he will draw near to you. And I wish you well throughout this week and the coming weeks, and thank you for your time.